This is John Krysinsky from Pittsburgh Soccer Now. With me today, Mia Bhuta. Mia, you may not be that well known in the Pittsburgh area quite yet, but you have made quite an impression nationally in terms of your soccer ability. And I just wanted to say congratulations on being called up to the United States. I guess it's women's youth national team under 17. You were, I believe you in the summertime, you did some, went to camp, but you were invited back this past week in Bradenton, Florida, and took part in that. So first of all, welcome to this forum, but also just let us know how did things go in Bradenton this past week?
Well, first off, thank you so much. Thanks for your interest and thank you for having me. Florida was amazing. I love being in that environment. It's super competitive. Everyone there is just working as hard as they can. And it's really nice just to be surrounded by a bunch of other young women who are trying to make an impact in the sports world. And it's just really inspiring. And I really love being there.
So maybe let's take a step back before we talk about Bradenton and where you are right now. Just growing up in the Pittsburgh area, you're from Mount Lebanon.
Yes.
Just maybe take us back to some of your earliest experiences playing soccer. I guess you go back to the like late 2000s, maybe early 2010s is really when you started to come into your own as a learning the game.
Yeah, so I started playing soccer just whenever I was really young with my dad and my brother. I really trained with them a lot. At the time, Century United and the Riverhounds were two clubs that were separate but at the same time conjoined. So Century had some teams where we would play games and compete, while Riverhounds was focused more on like the technical training. So I was really fortunate to have some very supportive coaches who pushed me to really work as hard as I can. Mike Blatz at Century was really one of my first coaches who made me fall in love with the game and just taught me a lot about soccer. And with him too, I was training with the Riverhounds, Jason Cutney. He was working on my technical game. He really helped me develop all my skills. And without those two, like I don't think I'd be anywhere near where I am today.
Are there other players that people may know from that are, your age, seniors and juniors and so forth in high school right now that you trained with? Do you remember from those days and the Riverhounds and Century?
Currently I don't train with many of the people that I used to.
I
Mackenzie
mean, I
Dupre.
meant back then, like that, you know, that you trained with back then that are, playing locally or that
Oh,
people
playing
may know
now.
who. Yeah.
Um, Eva Blatz,
Hmm.
she's in high school now. She'd be playing. Tatum Gretz, she was at the Riverhounds with me. Um, Morgan Idenshofer, Bella Corrado. Those were all some people that I was playing with when I was a lot younger.
Yeah, and those are some names that we, are very familiar if you people who follow the local scene. And the reason why I bring that up is because, I remember about a year or so ago, our one of our colleagues, Pittsburgh Soccer Now, Jordan Smith, he was there in those early days of the Riverhounds when they were doing a lot of developmental stuff. And one of the people that he trained regularly with was Robbie Mertz. And so it was just one of those things where it was like in those are like the early days of the Riverhounds Academy. And it was just we didn't know where they were going to go with it, but you were definitely part of that. So I don't know if you knew that back then or what it was like, and to see, what it was like then to what it's become now.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned Robbie Mertz. I actually just recently met him and started training with him. He's such a great player and someone who really like inspires me every time I step on the field with him.
For sure. That was be one of the questions I was going to ask was, looking at players that have come before you in the Pittsburgh, especially from the Pittsburgh area, but not necessarily just from here. But is there anybody else that you look up to that, that kind of blazed the path before you as a female soccer player?
Yeah, I think that there's so many players just on the women's national team. I look up to so many of them. They really inspire me. Just to see all the barriers that they've broken through, like in this time, and really what they've done to grow the sport just for girls all around the world. I really hope to follow in their footsteps and just learn as much as I can from what they've done and really use that in the future.
Now, were you there in 2015 when the U.S. women's national team played at the Heinz Field? Do
I
you
was
remember
not.
that?
Oh yeah, I was there. Yeah.
Now, Megan Klingenberg obviously was
Mhm.
the local sort of hero who took out the terrible towel and after she
Yeah.
scored the goal. But there was definitely a buzz at that time. I know you were pretty young, but did you sense that around the area get excited and interested in soccer, maybe more than even than when you were younger?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot more interest now. I remember during that time Megan Klingenberg had come back to Pittsburgh, and I just know like all my friends were so excited to meet her. She was really just an inspiration to all of us. And I think even now, with the game growing, there's more and more people, even if you're not directly involved in soccer, who are excited to see women like whenever they're playing or just hear about their journeys and what's going on in like the soccer world.
So, U.S. Women's national team players that you mentioned, are there any in particular that you maybe model your game after? I know you're a midfielder, so what and maybe talk about that first, then we'll get into a little bit more about yourself and your game. Or if you want to elaborate on that, you can do that too.
Yeah, so on the women's national team, Julie Ertz, she plays my same position. I really try and play like her. She's someone who I think can really dominate in the midfield. She has a very large presence, and overall, she's just a great leader and teammate. So I really look up to her, and I like to try and play like her.
So that set the table for maybe folks wanting to know a little bit more about you and your game and what you're all about. Maybe just tell us what positions you played, maybe, and I don't know, where you see yourself with the women's youth national team. Um, and then we'll talk about your college experience as well. But maybe more. Who are you? More of a holding central midfielder? Are you more like to get forward when you can? Uh, what's your game like?
Yeah, so I'm a midfielder. My position is like technically a holding midfielder, but growing up, like from my youth till now, I've always been a super like attacking minded player. So I play the holding midfielder position, but I play as more of like a box to box midfielder. So whenever there is an opportunity to attack, I like to use like a penetrating dribble to break lines and engage the opponent. But at the same time, I really value the defensive side. So whenever I'm getting up into the attack, I like to create as many goal scoring opportunities as possible while also being immediately ready for any countermeasures that might happen so I can get pressure back on the ball or delay the attack from the other team. So I'm really box to box midfielder up and down the field, both sides of the ball, attacking and defending both pretty much equally.
And if Julie Ertz is a bar to chase or standard to set, is that the physical play part of it too?
Yes, with that too.
Yeah, you're not afraid to go for 50-50 ball, I'm sure.
No, I'm not.
All right, good. Well, hey, so obviously you've grown up in Pittsburgh. You got a lot of technical training from the Riverhounds Academy. Century United was a big influence. Then you made the decision to go play with the internationals in Ohio. That's a really interesting choice and not something you see every day from players in our region. Just talk about that experience.
Yeah, so in Pittsburgh, like I said before, my coaches were incredible. They really, really helped me. Um, Whenever I was younger, there's something called like a youth training center. So these would happen in regions and they'd be run by like one or two coaches. My coach in this training center was Carrie Sarver. She's worked with the national team a lot in the past. And so whenever I met her, she really helped me a lot just in those like once a month times that I would get to meet her at the training center. And she is the one of the directors of the club and that I play for internationals in Ohio. And with just the national team experience that she has, she's been able to see players at the highest level and she knows what the standard is to be able to play there. So to invest my time in internationals is really to be under her guidance and under a strong female leader who's made a name for herself in the sport and just be constantly held to her standard and know what it takes to be at the national team level and just be able to learn from someone with that kind of experience.
So that experience obviously has given you an opportunity to grow as a player, I'm sure, and find, you know, development, the things that you need to do. How do you do it? How do you work that schedule out? You just told me after being in Bradenton this past week, you got back last night, I believe,
Mhm.
and you're in school today at Mount Lebanon. I mean, just how do you make it work?
Yeah, I mean, I think for that part of it, I have to manage my time, but I think I owe a lot of that just to the people around me. I have a really, really supportive family. My siblings are just always there for me whenever I need anything, like my brother driving me to the field, taking me with him to the gym, just always there. My parents are super supportive. I can't drive yet, so they're the ones who are driving me like 2 hours to practice and back. They
Wow, that's
really help
great.
me like stay balanced and kind of know like what I need to get done while also letting me have like a normal life, like getting done my schoolwork, being with friends, but also knowing like when I had to train. So I think that like I just really owe that part to them. They kind of help me manage my time and they're just kind of always there for me throughout everything that I have going on.
So of course you made the decision to go to the West Coast, so I guess they don't have to worry about driving,
Yeah, no.
to go to college. So obviously your choice, originally was UCLA, but you're going to attend Stanford, great school. What was reasoning behind your choice to finally settle in on Stanford?
So yeah, with UCLA, I completely love the school. Just the coaches there after I'd committed got an
Right.
incredible opportunity to go coach a NWSL team. And so they took that opportunity. And for me, growing up ever since I was young, Stanford and UCLA have always been like the two schools that I really, really wanted to go to. So after I kind of knew the situation with UCLA, Stanford, we and I like had kind of gotten in contact with each other. At Stanford, I think, like their academic reputation is incredible. And with athletics, they're always a consistent competitor for national titles. They also have a history of developing national team players. So from an academic standpoint, they're really great for my development overall. It'll be a really great team when I'm there. And then just the overall environment at Stanford, I think everyone there, no matter what you've done already, no matter what you've accomplished, the people there and all the like professors, everyone that's around you just really wants to push you as hard as you can to be the best that you can be, to be the greatest that you can at your passions. And while doing all of that, do it to better society and make an impact on the world. So they want the best for you, but they also want you to be making the best impact that you can in the world.
Mia, that's obviously to make that commitment or to go that far away from home, I'm sure it would be a challenge, but I'm sure it's very exciting as well. Academically, do you have any idea in terms of what you want to do along those lines?
Yeah, so I'm interested in a couple areas like neuroscience, technology, and entrepreneurship. I kind of want to do like a combination of those. At Stanford, you're not allowed to declare a major going into school. So they want you to be settled first before like you choose anything. And the other unique thing is about Stanford is that they have a lot of fields that it's kind of an area they can study that's not really mainstream yet.
Mhm.
So they're always like constantly creating new majors or kind of fields that you can be a part of that combine all these things. So while I'm there, I'm going to look to further learn about these topics and then kind of come to a better idea of what exactly I'll study.
Yeah, I mean, information technology capital of the world over there, and innovation is, you see it all over the place, especially in Northern California. But um, well, that's exciting, and I think it sounds like you have lots of excellent options. Once you get there, you never know. You can lead many different places, um, but that's one impressive thing that we've seen, especially from a lot of those United States women's soccer players. Many of them are just so multi-talented and going into other careers, and especially as their careers or professional soccer careers are winding down, to just there's some of the things that they are doing. It's just so impressive.
Yeah.
All right, so you're in Bradenton this past week, second go around with US team, right? With the US
Um,
program, or
this
is it
is this was actually my fourth.
okay? So now, are you comfortable now? Do you feel like you're in a bit of a groove? And how do you see yourself with this group?
Yeah, I think just overall the team, the girls and I have gone a lot closer. It's a really like close team. We're starting to play together really well. In terms of comfort, I feel comfortable like expressing myself in that environment and I feel comfortable in my abilities, but it's never like a guarantee. Like you're in that pool, you have to fight as hard as you can to keep your spot. I think that all of us, like we like to be comfortable, but just not too comfortable. So we're always continuously pushing ourselves to be the best that we can, while also getting to know each other more, playing as a team, and just working off of each other.
So what was the training like? Especially the past week now, there's preparation for CONCACAF World Championship, which is going to be, I believe, April 23rd through early May, preparing for that competition. So the competition that you're involved with right now is internally within the team. I'm sure everyone's battling to for playing time, that sort of thing. Was it mostly intra-squad scrimmages or was it a lot of technical? How does that work? How does a typical week like that work?
Yeah, so we start the week off with like a couple training days, more like tactical based sessions, working on like a concept that we want to implement into our game. We have one inter squad game and then two more training days, and then we played a friendly against the IMG boys team.
Okay. How'd that go?
It was an interesting game. We didn't get the result we wanted, but I think throughout the game we saw a lot of progress in the way we were playing, and I think that experience will definitely help us moving forward into CONCACAF.
I've heard a lot of great things about the facility down there. What's it like down there?
I mean, yeah, it's super nice. We're super lucky and privileged to be able to play in these super nice areas. It's great. I mean, I don't think we could ask for anything more.
Yeah, and we're seeing it here in this area too. New soccer complexes and fields are popping up, and it's a lot of excitement. But Bradenton has been one of those places where IMG Academy is located, and a lot of significant soccer training, especially with the U.S. national programs, are take place down there. So I'm sure they treated you pretty well.
Yeah, they did.
So what is it like in terms of you have roommates, you're staying in a hotel, or they have their own complex for housing? How does that work?
Yeah, so it kind of depends on like what facility we're at for like these different camps. This weekend in Bradenton, it was a hotel. We had a roommate. Um, yeah, it's usually like that. Usually we're rooming with some other people on the team. But yeah, it's all super great facilities. Everything there is amazing.
So this is your senior year, correct? Of
It is.
of high school.
Mhm.
So I'm sure it'll feel a little bit like a whirlwind. You have obviously have to, get through the senior year. And then you also have this travel, Dominican Republic, most likely. Will the team get together in these states first before you travel, I would imagine, right? And then I don't know, how's that going to work with high school graduation and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so actually this year I am a senior, but I'm graduating early, so this is really only my third year of high school.
Wow.
So with that, there's already been some challenges, but my school has been really helpful and helped me like to work through all of this. Um, so it'll be interesting, I think, for all of us on the team. It's a different experience, but we're super lucky and I wouldn't want to trade it for anything.
I'm sure a lot of people a lot of soccer players in our area and around the country would love to be and have the opportunity. So I'm sure just being able to take advantage of it is great for you. Before we finish up here, just a couple. I have one real quick question. I usually ask this when I do interviews, with other um, candidates for jobs and things, but I always like to ask to get to know people a little bit better. Um, Three words without explanation that describe you.
3 words. Um, I would say driven, positive, and imaginative.
Excellent. Good. Those are all great traits. Well, Mia Bhuta, Mia, it's been a pleasure to interview you here, have the opportunity to really get to learn more about you and your experience in Bradenton and with the U.S. Youth National Team. We are all pulling for you here in Pittsburgh, that's for sure. We'll be following everything very closely, and looking forward to seeing how things progress, and hopefully we'll be able to talk soon.
Yeah, thank you so much. Also, I want to give a quick shout out to my trainer, Aaron Bird at NLT Soccer. He's another one who really has helped me grow a lot as a player. I'm training with him all the time. So just shout out to him. He's the best. If anyone wants to get better, I would go to him.
All right, there's a shout out, and hopefully everybody's listening and will take notice of that. And people can follow you. I believe you're on Twitter, so whenever you have highlights or things to share, you are on Twitter as well. All right,
Yeah,
Mia,
I
again,
am.
it was great to connect with you, and good luck, and we'll be watching closely.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You got it.